Sweet. Looks like we're live. So people are going to be making their way in here in just a sec. Let's notify Twitter and Discord. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Just give me one moment to tweet this out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the official live stream. It's your bro Quincy, and I'm back, sorta, I guess. I'm back with the live stream. Actually, I kind of want to be back a little bit more with more live streams. But no, I've sort of set up a few things, set up this live stream a little bit. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about just anything, really. I see so much in my daily life in terms of the cool different things that are happening in crypto, things that are being built, people that I end up communicating with, and I kind of hope to be able to create a series of streams to be able to showcase that. I sort of created a Discord as well to be able to have community members be able to engage, not only with me, but with each other, as well as be able to interact with people that I interact with on a daily basis and be able to share that with you guys. So give me one moment while I make one more share, and then we can get the show sort of on the road. Oh, actually, I do have to say, is my audio okay? I think the video should be good, but I'm pretty sure my audio is all right. I am. So one thing I am going to do, the first topic is XDC. A lot of news coming out tomorrow. Can't get into the news until it comes out, but I'm going to be doing a live stream tomorrow talking about that. But first topic is about XDC, mostly about what's happened in the past year, what's going on. Maybe people have some questions. It's been kind of crazy, and I feel like a lot of people haven't gotten a chance to see it. So I'll share a little bit of that in this. I'll share a little bit of that in a second. Let me share this. Here we are, and then I'm also going to. There we go. Yes, XDC has very much good news. There's a lot of news, actually, and a lot of the news has been news that's been around for a while, but a lot of people haven't gotten a chance to see it. Or maybe they have seen it, but because, the hype engine that's Twitter hasn't taken hold of it, because a lot of people aren't really excited about, really technical, industry-based things, even if the implications can be huge. So, audio good, sweet. Yeah, I actually found out what the deal is with the audio from yesterday. It was so stupid. I literally had the wrong audio. It was taking audio from my computer and not my mic. So, yeah, that was on me. But as long as everything's good, we should be straight. Next, order of business is, sort of my experience on YouTube. I love talking about things. I love being able to share my experiences, but I hate editing. It's part of the reason why I'm live streaming now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be live streaming, and then I'm going to be taking sort of the most interesting 20 to 30 minutes, and I'll be dropping that as a regular video. And that's sort of going to be my general style, mostly because previously I would sort of sit down, think of a video idea, maybe film for 20 minutes, maybe film twice or three times if I didn't really quite get it, then go and sort of go through the editing process, and I just didn't really like that process. I love being able to speak about my experiences, but I'd much rather be doing more productive things than just editing. And then people go, oh, well, get an editor, and I'm like, cool, I sort of have one, but I've also been working with other developers, so I've sort of been finding developers for some of my own passion projects. But I think with the live streaming setup and sort of with the more streamlined approach, I think I'll be able to focus on the things I actually want to speak about while simultaneously being able to share them publicly, as opposed to spending all this time editing or whatever, or spend all this time not doing the thing that I enjoy doing. Where can someone get the XDC pillow? Okay, this, I don't know if you can get this anywhere. So I actually got this. So first off, this pillow isn't actually an XDC pillow. It's an XDC pillowcase, and it was a pillow from like a couch pillow I had from like a couch I had. Actually, when I went to Consensus last year, or I guess technically this year, but when I went to Consensus, no, not Consensus, my bad, Toronto. When I went to Toronto for ETH Toronto, XDC had like its own booth, and like I was leaving once, or once I was leaving, someone asked me like, "Oh yeah, Quincy, do you like want any of this merch?" And I'm like, "What, really? Like really?" They're like, "Yeah, we'd have nothing to do with it when we're done." So I was like, "Sweet." And I snagged the pillow, snagged the pillowcase. I wish I could figure out where to get more XDC stuff. It's sort of just like yeah. What do you think about Craig Wright saying he will sign the Bitcoin keys in the Wright versus Kappa case in January? So, like, when it comes to Craig Wright, there's really one simple thing that you can really touch upon. It's not hard to prove that you have the signature. He could prove that he has the signature in a tweet. So that's literally the number one reason why people don't believe him to be Satoshi, is because of how easy it is to be able to prove that you own the Satoshi wallet and prove the signature. So, I mean, if he has to prove it in court, I mean, sure. And if he has it, great. But I don't think he does, because it would have been very simple to prove it. That's just me. I don't know what's going to be the case with that. Yeah, but that's just me. It mostly just comes down to how easy it is to prove that you have a certain wallet or a certain key and prove that signature. And he just hasn't done that. So that's the big criticism of Craig Wright. Which cold wallet is currently the most secure? All right, here you go. Here's a red pill about cold wallets. For the most part, they're all relatively the same level of secure. Like, it's either has access to the internet or it doesn't. Now, the level of security that you might want to sort of criticize is maybe if you could breach the hardware. And there are people that have gone through the motions and tried to do that. I remember there was like some prodigy kid who was able to crack a Ledger Nano, but it took him like 45 minutes to do it, and he had to have the Nano in hand. So there's an element of, sure, maybe the hardware devices could be compromised, but for the most part, you need to have physical access to them. So part of the safety that's baked into a hardware wallet is the fact that you have to have physical proximity in order to even have access to or even have the ability to even try to crack it. So for the most part, other than that, unless you want to get like really into the technical details of like the hardware security of each device, they're all relatively the same in terms of security. Now, they may have different tools and different services that allow you to maybe recover your seed in a certain way, or maybe allow you to whatever. So maybe they have differences based on the services they provide, but security-wise, for the most part, for the layman, they're very analogous. Unless you're gonna start criticizing the hardware, yeah. Oh, I really appreciate that. A prod. Great work, Quincy. Keep it up. No, I really appreciate the super chats. Actually, kind of goes into why I'm also getting into just more content. So I've sort of announced this sort of in passing, but I actually just got engaged. Me and my girlfriend have been together for about 6 years now, and now that we're like getting married, it's like, oh crap, weddings are expensive, and it may cost like probably like 10-15 grand, like on the low end for everything. So there's a part of me that's like, what's another like side hustle I could sort of do in order to be able to, make up some extra income, some passive income to pay off this freaking wedding. And I'm like, why am I not doing more YouTube? Like, I actually get paid really well from YouTube. I don't even post a lot of videos. Like, if I post like 5 or 6 videos, I might make like $500 that month. So I'm like, why do I not do this? And partially, there's an answer to that, and partially it's because I'm involved in a bunch of other things. But for the most part, I'm like, I do have an opportunity to be able to capitalize on this and be able to allow myself to, help pay off my wedding for doing YouTube or whatever. Or at the very least, I don't have to like sell my crypto. I don't have to sell my crypto to pay for the wedding. I guess that's what I'm really trying to say. Oh, someone said he will only sign if the court orders. If he wins, what are the implications regarding BTC and crypto in general? Well, really, nothing really changes. The real implication comes, would Craig Wright sell his Bitcoin, and would that potentially have a huge impact on the market? Some people will say that it might not have that big of an impact, but at the same time, Satoshi holds 1 million Bitcoin, and around 60% of all Bitcoin hasn't even been touched like of all Bitcoin holders, of all Bitcoin, hasn't even been touched in the past year. So is there enough demand to be able to make up for him selling all of that Bitcoin? Now, this isn't just hinging on Craig Wright. This is a question for Satoshi in general. Is there enough demand for Bitcoin to be able to offset the sale of that much Bitcoin or whatever? Now, people may say he would never do that. It wouldn't be good for the ecosystem. But like that's like implying that's sort of like trying to put yourself in the mind of someone you've never met and sort of just choosing a line of logic that suits yourself. I couldn't tell you why Satoshi did what he did, being anonymous, the Bitcoin, the whatever, the Craig Wright. I couldn't tell you any of that. So in terms of the implications, it comes down to this notion of, will Satoshi sell? And if Craig Wright Satoshi, will he sell? And that's basically it. And then you can basically go into, is there enough demand? Will there be enough buyers? Will the price tank? All that. So Let's see. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. So part of what I'm doing with these streams, I'm doing a lot of things, actually. So I got a capture card. So there's a few things I was actually going to be doing. I spend so much time gaming with so many different, like, just projects or whatever. It's sort of like, like some people may hop on, like, Zoom or Discord. Well, a lot of us like to hop on, like, Xbox and, like, play some games. But then I realized, I'm like, look, we're talking about, like, stuff that's happening actively in the space with people who are working in the space. And it'd be cool to be able to share that. So I got a capture card. I figured, like, if I might game with some people in the space and kind of, like, clue you guys in on that. I thought about like doing some other stuff like sharing VR experiences and sort of going into that a little bit, especially when it comes to like cool projects like Expector and different projects like that. It'd be cool to be able to go into their ecosystems and mess around a little bit. So, and of course I've got my screen sharing. Let me see if I can test this real quick. And I figured I'd be hopping in Twitter Spaces and just hanging out, just seeing what's up. Anywho, yeah. So one part of like this is just the let's just chill with Quincy for a bit. Like this isn't this is the crypto show. This is the what's happening to the price show. This isn't that. This is we're all in crypto. We all hang out. We talk about a bunch of different things. And I find myself like being able to speak the most when I'm mostly relaxed. I notice when I make the videos, I spend so much time thinking about the video that I don't actually just get into the thing I'm talking about. Even when I like look back at the video, I'm like, of a 5-minute video, I spent like 2 minutes sort of like walking around the topic a little bit, or sort of like spending too much time in my head rather than just speaking. So I figured, this would be a little bit better. But also hopping on these different these Twitter Spaces with a lot of cool people. We got Vet from XRP Cafe, and I saw T's Crypto on earlier. He had a space. But it'd be really cool to also like hop in, because I hop in these spaces all the time, and maybe some people get to see me in the space at the time. Maybe some people get to see the space after the fact. Sometimes I hop into multiple spaces, so I figured why not just take the whole live stream and just sort of just go along, hopping, from space to space, from sort of experience to experience, group to group, and clue you guys in on my experience in crypto, my developer experience, my experience with a lot of these projects. Some of you guys even heard of these projects, and just seeing it like as it happens. Like it actually kind of feels like the you guys ever seen the show Silicon Valley, like the show? And they sort of like meme on the idea of like startups and all that. It feels exactly like that. It's not as like potent, so it's almost like a diet version of that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get to hear so many different cool experiences, so many different cool projects, so many different cool people. It's not like there's a super NDA for everything. Sometimes people are just like, yo, this is my project. You think it's cool? Well, I think it'd be cool if you could sort of tell me about your project, but also be able to find a group of people that might find your project interesting. So there's also part of that too, where I see a lot of cool things and not a lot of people get to see them. So being able to share that as well is nice. How do you feel about the BTF halving and the BTC ETFs? Okay, this is actually really interesting. So when it comes to the Bitcoin halving, I actually sort of have a interesting question to pose. Now, people seem to look at the Bitcoin halving as an event to where we seem to proceed into a bull market. And I can't tell if it's the psychology of the traders that are anticipating that causes the bull market, because as soon as they anticipate the halving, it happened. Now they engage in a particular type of activity that basically will increase the price and, the bull market and all that. And because of that anticipation, they now engage in that activity. Or is it the other way around? And does the halving create a new set of incentives that drives demand for the token? Now, a lot of people will say, oh, it just drives demand. But I'm like, does it really? Like, it seems almost as if the fact that we even talk about it poses the question of just us anticipating it may potentially be the thing that causes the bull market, as opposed to the actual thing that we're anticipating. Now, I don't really think that's like anything special or anything like that. Like, it's not like oh my god, it's this way or it's that way. But I think I guess I could technically say I'm a little bit more leaning on the psychology end. But it's just like this when it comes to like the Fed. Like, there's almost like the joke with the Fed of like, we're not raising interest rates, we're talking about raising interest rates, or we're talking about raising interest rates, because there's the idea that you may create the event just by anticipating the event. And it's a weird conundrum. I think it's more psychology than it is like economics or trading. But I think that's sort of the deal with the halving. I can't tell if it's the halving that drives the incentives or the anticipation of the halving that drives the behavior. So let's see. Anywho, so we got the little stream here. It's super chill. I might hop on a space or so if no one has any real questions. I had a few different things I wanted to talk on, but like, this is sort of an ongoing thing. I wanted to hop on T space, but it looks like it's gone. But we'll hop into the XRP space and see what's up.
So it's not, to me, it's not really surprising that they're able to be able to launch the products and capture the market like how they were. Well, that was Brian Armstrong.
I almost completely forgot about this. Oh, my bad. Hold on. Video capture, display capture. Yeah, the one thing I completely forgot is the audio on the computer. I don't think you guys can hear it. Whatever. I'll get back to that in a second. Where can we share our project with you? In the Discord. I have a Discord. Let me share that right now, actually. Yeah, so if you want to share a project with me, or even if you want to be able to talk about your project on my live stream, come to the Discord. Let me drop an invite. Honestly, I might do that too. My mods, I think my mod's online right now, so we can probably bring some people up if we want. Hold on, let me share this. There we go. Yeah, so if you want to share your project, talk about your project, hell, you want to shill your project, presuming it's not dog shit, yeah, just come into the space. And I have my moderator in Discord, so he will help sort of bring people up in the private spaces. Not right now, but in general, it's something I definitely want to do to engage with my community a bit. But yeah, the Discord. We were able to hear the space audio. Oh, you were? Thank goodness. Okay. I wasn't sure because it didn't, there's like a little bar on OBS and it didn't move. So I was like, oh crap. Like this, can you guys not hear? All right. If you guys can hear all right, then we are good then. I can hop in the space. Power off. Anyhow.
APIs via Aladdin, they can charge really big SaaS revenues or custody revenues that require very little upfront capital. So I think that's like a fundamental shift in Coinbase's business, and the fact that they're actually getting the traction from these institutions, right? It's not just talk, they're actually landing.
Yeah, I like hopping in the spaces quite a bit because it's cool to be able to interact with people online. It's cool to be able to interact with people who have different opinions, but it's also cool to be able to interact with people in the space that, like, I talk to Vet and I talk to.
I think a lot of Coinbase has just really been de-risked. They have a lot more of a robust business model.
Yeah, I like being able to hop in the spaces quite a bit. Just to set that aside, I like hopping in the spaces quite a bit because there's a lot of people on Twitter in the crypto space that I would consider myself quite acquainted with, sort of friendly with. And these are experiences I have all the time. These are like I might hop into a space and maybe we talk about the future of like metaverse technology or VR spaces and virtual experiences. Or maybe I might hop into a space and we may be talking about XRP liquidity and what it means for cross-border remittances and Forex exchange and stablecoin exchange. We may hop into another space and we may have like a slight debate over certain use cases of the technology and how you could essentially build. I wanted to also thanks Priceless One for the $20. Really appreciate it. Dude, okay, the person that keeps saying play Star Citizen, I've wasted a lot of money on Star Citizen, my friend. I'm one of those people that are quite jaded to. Now, don't get me wrong, Star Citizen is way cooler now than it used to be, but I used to play Star Citizen, so stop spamming Star Citizen. Anywho, yeah. So if you guys can hear that, all right, we'll hop in here. And if you guys have any questions, like a super chat question, I will like respond to every single. It's one of those things where it's a great way to support the channel. It's a great way to support me, and I very much appreciate it. So if I'm sort of in the middle of something, I will do everything I can to engage with any sort of super chat, just because I appreciate the engagement.
And just getting them to see a different perspective on these things and bringing more people into the XRP community. So I personally really enjoy it. Like, I find it a lot of fun. I enjoy the debates, like, regardless of where they go. So I actually really like it. But it is a lot easier being in an XRP space because I don't face nearly the amount of pushback unless
I want to go to Kansas and then Quincy. But Kansas, how are you doing?
Hey, pretty good. I just wanted to check in. I might have got here late, but the Polysign.
Yes.
I just had a question. Isn't that what David Schwartz was talking about? And it seemed like I remember back in Joe Schmo's space a long time ago, everybody was all about it. Is that the same thing?
Yeah. So David and I think Arthur are on the board.
That's what I thought. So is there stuff to be worried about?
Well, I mean, for Ripple or XRP, no, right? It's detached. The individuals, yeah, they are, involved in that, but I don't think for them it's a hit either. I mean, remember, the IP in all of this, it's not zero. Like, they can hopefully sell this, restructure it, get it to another, somewhere into another company. So there are probably some things going on in that regard.
It's probably one of those moments I'm glad I didn't diversify at the time when everybody was trying to talk me into that then.
Just so it's cool for everyone. You guys can hear it right?
Anyway.
Just want to double check. Just say yes or no.
What?
Kansas with the right hook.
I'm just joking.
No, you're right. That's what I was doing. She heard him,
Bet. Kansas just speaks her mind. That's fine.
Anyway, thanks, guys. I just wanted to be on the panel where Mickle was on because he's such a big shot, and then we have Mr. I. It's like it was just too good to pass up. Had to drop something down, even chips up there.
I'm only
we have heavy hitters.
Because Mickle's up here, I want to get some eyes.
I'm only here because Mr. I's here. I came up here to debate him.
See, Quincy, how you doing?
What's up, everybody? What's up? Actually, guess what? What's going on right now, right this second?
Tell us.
We're live, baby.
I'm live right now. Live. Hopping, surfing Twitter, just monologuing, hanging out, just chilling with your bro Quincy. You know how it is.
You on the couch?
Yeah, chilling.
Wow.
It's your bro, Quincy.
It's everybody's your bro. Yeah, that's how it is. It's your bro.
So tell us.
Hey, Quincy,
go ahead,
did you get engaged? Do you get a congratulations? Is that fair to say right now?
Yes, I got engaged.
You had gotten engaged?
Yeah, I got engaged a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it's been super excited.
Congrats.
Super exciting. Yeah, it's we've been dating for like 6 years now, so it's almost like about time. But yeah, it's been super cool.
Nice. Yeah, awesome.
Well, I'm sure you'll be very happy. It'll be a very busy year.
Yeah, I know for a fact.
It's gonna be a banger. Quincy, have you following the I guess the news about Polysign? Do you have any comments on that? Maybe your first impression.
I have not followed any news. What is the news? Give me the drop. What is it?
Look at Quincy. So long story short, there's not rumors, but there seems to data surfacing that Polysign is restructuring and the IP is getting I guess sold in foreclosure and all of that. But seems like they defaulted on payments. That's the current news.
Damn, they defaulted? Holy shoot. Holy shoot.
I can see your smile through.
You don't have to see. You can go to the stream right now, and I'm like cheesing so hard right now.
In other words, anyone want to start a custody business?
I'm down. Well, I can build up a UI. I got some UI interfaces I can throw up real quick.
I'm still in for the token launch. I think it would be a banger idea.
I just finished the algorithm for generate keys using the Hawaiian Celestial Stars.
Is it not the perfect time to launch Polysign meme token on the Ethereum network? I think that
it is.
Oh my god, meme them to. Oh my god, that'd be gold. You just drop a meme token, just the freaking just drive the knife in.
Then I buy out their IP. I'm doing a hostile takeover, crypto style.
When did this happen? Was this recently? Was this like the past week?
Today. Today, but also too, one thing, just going through this again, look, it says 100% equity interest. It's not only Polysign. I haven't anybody talk about standard custody and trust. That's also up on the block.
Yeah, no, I said that. I was saying that they're up on the block. Also, other DBA names that also they're under, which is the one that's located in Cayman Islands. You got the one that starts with an A, so I don't have the information in front of me, but you have the other. There's about 4 or 5 of them, or a little bit more, that's on it, including other assets. So it's not just that one section we were talking about. There's more on that list that's up for that auction.
Yeah, it's Polysign Cayman Limited, which is, and then there's standard custody and trust. Then there's Polysign Capital, Atomic Net, which is a institutional custody, Polysign acquisitions. But
yeah, they have a bunch of subsidiaries, 100%.
Hey, yeah, but I mean the two big ones are Polysign and standard
custody.
Yeah.
XRP Zap, how you doing? You have your mic open. All right, then no. Scams, there's a question from the audience. Let me read that off to you. Did Scams allude to the fact that Polysign technology or company or servers holds the Ripple escrow?
Hello everybody.
All right, I might hop back in there in a sec. There's a few other spaces I'm gonna hop in. I think the Polysign thing is kind of crazy, considering they're the ones that are not want to say top tier, but they're considered a very well-known, respected custodian. So to hear that happened to them is kind of crazy. But that's crypto. Damn, that's crypto. Anywho, another space I like hopping into is Karma coverage. I'm actually pretty sure that, and this is so freaking random, me and Karma coverage, which you guys probably don't know, but he's a random Twitter guy. We actually went to the same high school. Now, he went to the high school in the 60s. He's an old guy. But we were I was in his space one time chatting, and I was like, yeah, I'm from St. Augustine. He's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, I went to, he's like, wait, what? It was kind of funny. So I like hopping into spaces quite a bit. They talk about a lot of different things. Ooh, look. It looks like there's nobody here, so we can just take it over.
Yeah, I was going to say that, or just send it to somebody. But yeah, that shit was pretty wild. I made my girlfriend a few.
Just aiming at the currencies, and I can't even remember which ones did me the best. But Mothership, XRP Mothership, dude. What is it? The duck guy. He would drop a lot of them, but then once I found some community, I just kind of stopped with YouTube altogether and just found those little flames and picked them up.
It's wild because I found Stellar's shitcoin area first, and then I was like,
I'm sorry, there was nothing going on in there. I was kind of bored. This is a Mario in the fall space, although I'm probably just gonna we'll stop by for like half a second, although I'm probably not gonna say anything. Honestly, okay, so to be honest, I am a tiny bit bored. I thought there'd be a lot more interesting stuff going on online, and I thought I would, so like 5 minutes before I started streaming, I like got my capture card. So I probably would have been doing a few other things here too, but also sort of like my first stream in a sense. So if you guys have any topics, definitely like throw them in, or any questions. I will stop a space if you guys want to start a conversation on an interesting topic. The spaces are cool. They're really cool to find like interesting discussions. But at the same time too, they can kind of turn into a clusterfuck, and you kind of have a bunch of people sort of screaming over each other, or nothing happening at all, which is cool. Like that's sort of why we're here. We jump around a little bit. So yeah, actually not even any of that. One thing I did want to sort of touch on a tiny bit, because I stated this earlier in the stream. So tomorrow, a lot of XCC news coming out. I don't want to touch on it today because it's coming out tomorrow. But I am going to be live streaming and going over all of it tomorrow. The biggest thing is touching over the milestones, touching over major accomplishments, touching over different businesses, institutions, startups, and projects that reside on the network, and what their progress has been over the course of the past year, as well as a lot of the other events that we've attended, like Consensus and Mainnet and ETH Toronto, ETH Global, and a bunch of other ones too, all around the world. And it's cool because these things happen all the time. Like we had a bunch of different conventions in, I think, India, Singapore, and I think Dubai, and these don't necessarily get anywhere near as much like coverage or attention as like maybe Consensus or like, or maybe some of the other ones would. But this is also an illustration of what growth looks like. Growth isn't just going to be this one size fits all. You're going to see growth in a bunch of different areas. The thing that sucks is when that growth tends to happen, people tend to focus on where all the attention is. So if there's a lot of growth happening where there's not a lot of attention, people don't necessarily get a chance to see it, so they don't think it's happening. So that's kind of the big thing with the news tomorrow. It's consolidating all of this information from all over the world, from so many different people and so many different projects, and so many different things that happened in the past year, and putting out as like one big announcement, so people can be very much aware of all the progress that happened this past year. So yeah, that's really like the cool thing about it. And I sort of thought about too as well, and I might sort of do like a news segment. Every week, Monday, the XCC Foundation posts a news segment on Twitter, basically going over what happened in the past week, some major events, all of that. I thought about, like, no one ever really touches on these. Like, I see a few, like, XDC YouTubers or whatever, and they'll sort of really be like all the other crypto YouTubers, and there's a lot of good news that just gets put out all the time. But like I said, either it's sort of like this esoteric technical news, or it happened out of the country, or whatever. So yeah, being able to touch on these particular topics as sort of like a news segment, I think would be really cool, considering they already do it anyway. Plus, I'm very much involved in a lot of this, so by the time you guys hear about it as news, I've either heard about it, been a part of it, done something with it, or have just kept up with it for a period of time. So I feel like I can have a good position to elaborate on what it is that they are doing, whatever that I'm sort of talking about that's in the news. Because yeah, a lot of the times, by the time it comes news, I've already seen it a few times, and it'd be cool just to touch on what that means. I remember a few, like, there have been a few key points in the past few months that have been huge but got like no attention. Trade Trust was tokenizing documents on chain. We had the first treasuries issued on XDC, and they were backing a stablecoin, USTY. We had Trada institute the first NFT security, where they represented a security asset as an NFT and had its first sale, as well as they have the Trada token in terms of being able to buy this public security provided by Trada, and then there's an internal revenue generating mechanism, primarily about, it's almost like arbitrage between invoices. They essentially buy invoices early and then wait for them to not expire, but what's it called? Yeah, they buy they buy invoices early, cheap, and then they wait the time to be able to redeem them, and then they basically garner revenue as a security for their token. These are all like very big things on XDC. These are all like very like trade finance based applications that are focused on enterprise use case, but they don't get the attention like, you know, Doge or whatever meme coin you may hear of the week. And it makes sense, right? Like no one really gives a crap about traditional finance in that way. So when you sort of like take that traditional notion and apply it in crypto, it makes sense. But it, like we are all excited by growth and adoption. So it's one of these things where I feel like it's of something to bring up. I think it'd be worth talking about. Ooh. Anywho. Someone just stated XCC needs to land on a big exchange in the bull run. Actually, so funny enough, and a lot of people don't like it when I say this, but it's actually a good thing. I think it's like kind of hilarious that we aren't on any. Things on X. I think it's kind of hilarious that we aren't on any exchanges. Sorry about that. And the reason for that is I think right now we're rated like 70. We were in the like low 40s for a little bit. We were in the top 50 for a little bit. But we've been able to gain a lot of ground without being on the biggest exchanges. Just making it into the top 100 solely based off of, it's almost like this institutional volume, because there's relative retail like consumer volume or whatever. But some of the base the base demand for XDC is being used by a lot of these businesses. Zinfin being the number one that people like to talk about, TradeFinex being another one, Trada being another one, Trade Trust being another one. But since these are companies, as opposed to like open source projects or sort of in this open source ethos, you don't get to hear about it as much. Companies don't typically advertise the technological stack that they use to be able to run their apps. They kind of just run them, Oh, appreciate everyone for saying congratulations on my engagement. I see a lot of those, so very much appreciated. One thing that I will sort of state on a little bit, so this isn't quite the XDC show, but it's not the crypto show. I don't know everything about every possible crypto ever. So, like, if you want to ask about XDC, XRP, EVM-based cryptocurrencies, or even XLM or something, that's all fun. That's all, like, or even, like, Ethereum or whatever, Bitcoin, who cares? But I get so many questions on so many, like, some cryptos I've never even heard of. And it's just one of these things where I'm like, I can't know everything about every crypto, but I do know a lot about the ones that I do work with. So if you can, try to keep the questions more focused on the things that I'm focused on, because I don't necessarily have every single technical detail on every single crypto that exists. I don't use every crypto that exists. I use the ones that I primarily see the things that I can do with them. And that doesn't mean I can't do other things with other technologies. It just means these are the ones that I just so happen to be utilizing. And with that, like when it comes to EVM stuff, a lot of those are really generic. So I may be able to answer a generic EVM question that may apply to most EVM chains. But like some people may be asking like about Solana, and I'm like, I've never like touched Solana. I've never written a single line of code in Solana. I've never done anything in Solana. And if I can go read the documentation and tell it back to you, but I would just tell you go read the documentation if I'm going to go read it. So anywho, yeah, it's there's a few things I wanna be able to try with these spaces, and really just like I said earlier, the general ethos is actually, now that I really think about it, I might try to invite some people on. I want to bring some more people onto my Discord, but I haven't notified a ton of people about the about my live streams yet, so some people may not know. But I know so many people that actually I know one right now. Let me see if I can get one of my friends, Edward. He's sort of part of a project called BlockFi. He's part of a few other projects in the space. Super cool dude. Talks about so many different things. Works on so many different projects in the space. I'm gonna see if I can get him on real quick, just so y'all can just hear what it's like for like two people in the space to talk about like stuff in the space. Whether it's building, whether it's growing, whether it's working with other projects, whether it's just any element of adoption in any way. It's just really cool. And I haven't notified everybody yet, so it's one of these things where I'm like, I see y'all online right now. Like, hop on Discord. Yeah, so yeah, Edwards is one of them. DGT is another one. Digital Transformation Group's another one. I talked to these guys a lot. They were focusing on tokenizing identities and focusing on shipments and verifying on chain. I met a ton of different startups at the hackathon, so even just having them talk about the things that they build is so cool. And like I meet people in the space like Jake Claver, like he runs like a small office like family private equity firm, and he knows a lot of different things just about traditional finance and the cross section of crypto. And I talk to him all the time too. It'd just be cool just to share that. Someone asks, why develop on XDC? What might be your next employment move? Would you consider going to XRP and working with David Schwartz? Well, I would have to go to Ripple to work with David Schwartz. But honestly, okay. All right. This is going to be the first one. You got me in a rant because this is one of these things where I get asked this all the time. And the fundamentals for the answer for this question don't seem to be understood. So I get asked this question all the time. So there's two questions in this. One, there's why do I choose XDC over like any other technology or whatever, right? And then there's what am I going to do in respect to XDC, presuming that I choose to do something else. And I guess the first thing I'll sort of go into, the thing with XDC is when I first got into crypto, it's funny because my experience into crypto was very generic. I heard about Bitcoin, heard about Ethereum. I worked at a PE firm at the time, so we were sort of interested in dabbling or whatever. But fundamentally, I only really cared about there's this idea of how I want to build something, and I only care about fulfilling that idea. So we just went down the list. Started with Bitcoin. There were very limited things we could do with Bitcoin. Went to Ethereum. Ethereum was incredibly expensive. Went to XRP. At the time, there was a lawsuit, but there still aren't any smart contracts. But there was a huge point with XRP in terms of being able to move capital between different assets. That was a huge point. But it wasn't necessarily the use case I was focusing on. I wanted to focus on building applications, apps, because my like career experience. And this goes to the second question. My career experience is in cloud development, Web 2, if you want to put it. I have a little bit of experience, about a year or so experience in iOS development, and I spent most of my time just building out cloud infrastructure, microservices, and APIs for different applications. So if it really came down to it, that's really what I'd love to do. The thing that I think is really cool about blockchain is a lot of the services that I would provide as microservices or APIs are now just formatted as smart contracts. So the way I build the solution is a bit different, but I'm able to get certain perks in that way. One being I don't necessarily have to pay for hosting. It's hosted on a decentralized network. It's actually incredibly cheap to do that. I can have that application interact with multiple other applications as well as pass assets between applications that would have been relatively difficult to do so in the first place. So there are very specific reasons why I choose different technologies. Now I chose XDC really because it's high performant, relatively cheap. The smart contracts are really, really good. And I'm relatively familiar with the EVM. If someone came and said, oh, what about this chain or whatever, it does exactly what XDC does, then the next thing I would say, yes, there are a lot of technologies that do very similar things. But then the next thing that comes into that is the type of activity that's being facilitated on different networks. So the fundamental thing that I really liked about XDC, yeah, the technology is great. Yeah, I can build applications. But the number one thing is there's a base of activity primarily focused around bringing traditional finance onto the blockchain and allowing you to automate them with smart contracts. We have trade trust, trade finance, Zinfin. We have all these different organizations, and these are just a handful that I'm just listing right here. But there are so many different like traditional businesses that operate on chain that allow me to utilize their services because they have smart contracts that also reside on chain, and I'm able to leverage their services to be able to build products that can also utilize services that I didn't necessarily have to build myself. So I could build a smart contract that has the service of tokenizing identities and supply chain or whatever by plugging that smart contract into these other applications and then being able to get the value from that rather than me either building out my own system to do those things or finding out a bunch of different tools and a bunch of different technologies and a bunch of different APIs or webhooks or whatever to try to connect two segregated systems and then have to do that every single time I want to connect another segregated system. So like, for the most part, I love XDC from the level of engagement, but the mere fact that I can build the apps that I like in the way that I want to is the number one reason. So yeah, there are other technologies that are comparable. If there were certain activities that happened on those blockchains that I explicitly wanted, then I would move to those blockchains, but it wouldn't be an XDC thing. It'd actually be more of an EVM thing. And actually, it's funny because I'm actually all for that. Like, look, let's say I focus, and it goes into what you said earlier about XRP. Let's say I wanted to focus on being able to create automated trade finance derivatives on XDC, where I have commodities inside of options, and then those options inside of other options or futures, all this complexity, whatever, right? Well, I wouldn't do that on XRP. I would probably be focused, and this is the thing I'm focused on with XRP, is stablecoin Forex and Forex liquidity between not just multiple fiat currencies, but really just any asset on chain. You almost have like this instant liquidity due to rippling with the XRP ledger and the fact that the entire network's a DEX that allows you to be able to exchange basically anything with the maximum amount of liquidity due to that routing. That's something that's unique to XRP, and that's something I would use on XRP because it's unique and that behavior is unique to that network. If I want to focus on XDC, then that type of behavior around trade finance, derivatives, around all of that, that's the behavior that keeps me there. And really, before I got into any of this, I was sort of just into general regular finance. So like when I look at this, I'm like, yeah, I'd probably get back either into finance or cloud or whatever. But for me, it's just how do you build a service utilizing the tools that you have at your disposal? Jimmy Smith, it is a certainty that so many devs and projects are tripping over each other, flinging snot in order to be the one on top. And yeah, that's totally true. And part of it is, so I think crypto has this dynamic that's unique to any other type of technology, and it's the profit incentive and the ability for anybody to engage in this. So, like, everybody wants to make money, but in order to be able to engage in different types of markets can be relatively challenging. The only other market that is as frothy and as overbloated as crypto is, I would say, like, startups. But you would have to be like a VC, some big venture capital with millions of dollars, just to be able to participate. There's no guarantee that they'll be successful. There's no guarantee that you'll make any money, but just to participate, you essentially need all of this money. And other markets are typically like that, and they can be like that because of regulations. They can be like that because of just different barriers to entry. There are a lot of reasons for that. But when it comes to crypto, there's almost no barrier of entry. So anyone can build anything. And that's a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing. And with everyone building so many different things, everyone sees themselves as the next Bitcoin. So what do? Well, they sort of do what Bitcoin did. Well, we're the great. Yeah, you're not as good as us. Like, it's almost like and that mostly just came from the fact that the majority of the people that got involved in Bitcoin early on weren't like, there were a lot of devs, but there was almost like an ideology that was essentially the main reason why people got into Bitcoin. So with that ideology sort of just spread to the rest of crypto, and it basically, the ideology mostly consists of, we're free from the banks, we have this new unique technology, we are independently sovereign upon ourselves in terms of being able to manage our own money, all these different things, right? And there's sort of a superiority over the current system with that. But then with that also comes a superiority over every system with that, and every crypto does that too. So everyone has this idea that not only are they going to topple over the traditional markets, but they're going to topple over all the other cryptos too. So everyone believes that they're the top one, the crypto of all cryptos, sort of because of that was the idea with Bitcoin in reference to fiat, and sort of just carried over into the rest of crypto, and people just carry that idea into their projects as well. That's the most important thing. What problem does the tech solve? Yeah, actually. A lot of people don't necessarily focus on that. And it's funny, too, because there's a unique problem that the technology solves, and it solves it in such a way that is almost invisible. So the average person isn't going to engage in the barriers that blockchain technology solves, because those barriers are typically between multiple financial institutions, brokers, banks, regular people aren't these things, right? So being able to say, oh, we've eliminated this barrier that you've never seen before because some service is in front of it that allows you to interact with it, doesn't mean anything to the average person. But when you start saying, hey, look, if you essentially have multiple brokers, multiple banks, multiple institutions, multiple countries, whatever, and they want to be able to engage in trade with each other, instead of all of them having to jump to some sort of artificial trade medium to be able to engage in, you can essentially use this neutral trade medium in a decentralized space with applications that run autonomously, so you can essentially have that same level of sovereignty upon yourself while being able to engage with others without necessarily being controlled by who's able to manage that neutral form of capital, being the dollar. So everyone criticizes the Fed, everyone criticizes the U.S. government, everyone criticizes this mostly around the dollar. Since they have control around the dollar, anything that happens that could basically hurt anybody. This could be something as simple as inflation is just rotting away your savings to, the U.S. bullying some small country because they don't have the X, Y, and Z, whatever, and just saying, like, it could be a lot of things, interest rates, whatever. But the biggest thing is, oh, goodness. Sorry, I almost ran out of breath there. But, the biggest thing is that the biggest thing is that the value that blockchain allows is for people all around the world be able to connect with each other without necessarily going through a neutral party. We all know this. But the value isn't for the average person. It's for people that actually need to overcome these barriers. Now, you may go, well, I'm the average person. I like to send money to my family in Honduras. That's great. Yeah, but you sending, $100 to Honduras doesn't compare with the billions of dollars in trade volume that's happening internationally between international banks and brokers. That doesn't compare. So, yeah, it helps regular people a little bit, but it's hard to see all the different things that allow you to... It's hard to see all the different things and all the different services blockchain allows you to be able to interact with, because the average person isn't going to interact with it that way. It's almost exactly how people perceive Linux. Linux runs like 80% of the servers of every application you've ever ran. No one gives a crap about Linux. The average person doesn't care. They don't care. It doesn't mean anything to them. It's just some software that runs somewhere. But if there was a profit incentive, maybe everyone would care. But yeah, it's sort of like that, where the people who do care the most are sort of these people that are in these very esoteric fields that have, and it doesn't just have to be like tech. This could also be like law or something. Like, let's say, and I'm no lawyer or anything, but like, let's say there's like some element of being able to verify documents, and that's great for you as a lawyer. Well, that doesn't mean anything for me as a regular person because a lawyer can verify documents. It may mean something to me because I'm able to get a cheaper rate from a lawyer who's using some verifying software that otherwise would have been more expensive. But it's these very industrial production based like needs, like it's usually the thing that they're creating isn't even the product. It's sort of like a microservice in all of the services they provide, and that's just one service you may use. People talk about payments all the time. Okay, cool. So let's say there was a bank that was using crypto for payments. Well, sure, they might use crypto to be able to interact with payments from your individual account, but they may also use crypto for settlements between different brokers and different banks too. So like, even though when you send money from Sally to John, they may be using crypto on the back end. They may be using crypto on the back end to go from institution A to institution B as well. And it means more for them to do that than the Sally and John example, even though that's the example most people will give. Oh, I appreciate that. Jimmy Smith, you're passionate in the space, and that's an asset. Oh, I appreciate that, man. To be honest, it's funny too, because you're gonna get a lot of Quincy from this live stream, or from these live streams. To be honest, like, I wouldn't even say my passion's even crypto. Like, I wouldn't say it's that. It's actually a little bit more abstract. For me, I love seeing how different systems work, how they're able to interact with each other, and how different systems, how microsystems can create macro systems, and how microsystems and microsystems can be vastly different from how they are able to interact with each other. I actually went to school for economics explicitly for that. I love seeing how just economic systems work. I love seeing, like, sort of getting an understanding of, like, sort of these macro elements interacting with these micro elements and seeing, like, how these things moved. And to be honest, in crypto, I think that's really what a majority of it is. A majority of it, when you look at a smart contract is an abstract process. It runs some process and it gives an output. It's really abstract. And then when you put enough of these abstract processes together, you essentially get an app. You click this button, it does this. You click this button, it does that. You do these things, it does whatever. But it's very abstract. But for me, what I see is I see these smart contracts that have these abstract functions that can be utilized within a interface for an application, but they have these abstract functions that can interact with other smart contracts. And then those smart contracts have abstract functions that connect with multiple smart contracts. So, and I would actually even say it's easier to be able to map out these economic processes than it would be in a traditional setting, because you would need to do these surveys and these consensuses and all of this. With all this being on chain, you can actually just query this directly and be able to see economic activity live, both macro and micro. And just engaging with that, in my opinion, just sort of drives me like in a whole, it gets me so excited. I don't know what it is. Actually, I do know what it is, but I'll talk more about that later. It gets me so excited, and it doesn't matter if it's crypto or cloud or like whatever. Like, I would be probably just as excited because of how these processes work. Please save this Quincy. Save this video, Quincy. Well, guess what? This live stream is going to be, or at least the best 20 minutes of this live stream is going to be tomorrow's video. So, if you hung out for 5 minutes or whatever and you dipped, it's all cool. The video will be out tomorrow. Now, it's not the whole live stream, so only the most entertaining 20 minutes. There aren't going to be too many cuts, but this is a whole new process for me, the live streaming. But yeah, this live stream is going to be tomorrow's video. Tomorrow's live stream is going to be the next day's video, and so on. So yeah, you're definitely going to get more of these. These are super fun. I like these a lot more. Like I said, with the video, I'd be spending so much time getting into frame for the video and thinking about I like just being able to just sort of just breathe. I like just being able to speak how I feel, and to be honest, it seems to work really well too. So. Get yourself a nice cool glass of lemonade, buddy. Appreciate it. Ooh, that's a cool question. I'd like to see some sort of peer-to-peer lending platform created with pools of liquidity provided by regular people rather than institutions. That's an interesting idea. I'm pretty sure that's what the XRP market maker, the AMM, is supposed to be. And I think there are going to be a lot of different services exactly doing what you just described right there. And there's a few reasons for it. So we're all familiar with crowdfunding, right? So a bunch of people coming together to be able to fund some project or whatever. Well, you can almost have like crowd liquidity pools where people can, let's say there was like a 2% return on the pool or whatever. You can essentially have crowds of people be able to engage in these, like I said, these abstract financial services. And they don't necessarily need to be some giant liquidity provider to do it, since everybody can involve themselves. And I think what you'll end up seeing is you'll find financial products that would otherwise be reserved for these institutions, primarily because of the amount of value that's needed to engage with these. And you'll start seeing it's not that these products are available to regular people. You'll start seeing new products that encompass these old products that are accessible to regular people. So you might be able to invest in some sort of, like I said, some sort of peer-to-peer lending platform, but that lending platform may just hook into some already established finance product. But this allows you to be able to inject liquidity and be able to gain a reward from that. So I like that XEC pillow, Quincy. Hell yeah, it's cool, right? Oh, this is so chill. Yeah, this is so chill. I'm so glad I snagged the pillowcase. Oh, I really appreciate it. You're super cool and great the way you are. Really appreciate that, man. Yeah, really. I love the positive feedback from everybody. I love the positivity. One thing that sort of just gets me in my freaking, I don't know what it is, drives me up a wall. But crypto is just so full of trolls. So full of trolls, so full of ideological zealots, so full of freaking, like, it's sort of political, but not like in the traditional sense. It's sort of like this, like, quasi-political sentiment. And it's so like difficult to navigate, because I like just talking about cool stuff. I don't care about any of this stuff. I mean, I care about it, but I don't care about all this drama and this crap and whatever. I just like talking about these things. I think it's cool. If I wasn't right here, literally on stream right now, I'd probably be at my desk, I'd probably be talking to my friend, or I'd probably be doing exactly what I'm doing here somewhere else. So the government would hate that. They can't stop it, so sounds like a skill issue to me, man. You can't be able to build a product that is able to rival these new products, get left in the dust. Now, let's take a look at these spaces again, actually. I was trying to see I see actually a few people live right now. That's hilarious. What other spaces we've got right now? There's the XRP Town Hall again, but see, I love the spaces, but the thing is they get so freaking crowded. They get huge. Oh, actually, hold on a second. They get so crowded, and sometimes when I'm just in there, I'm just sitting in there with like a crowd of like 20 people, just sort of like. And then like the fifth person comes on, and they're like, "Oh yeah, just by the way, can everyone just like get into my project real quick?" And that's all cool and all, but like when you get like 20 people in and everyone's shilling their project, it's sort of like it feels like you're stuck in a commercial marathon. Like imagine like turning on the channel and yeah, like anybody turns the channel on anymore. It's freaking streaming now. But imagine like turning on the channel and like you're watching like you think you're watching a show, but it's just a string of commercials and just back to back. That's what it feels like sometimes, just a string of commercials. Let's see. Actually, how many people do I have in the stream right now? Oh, wow, 61. Well, very much appreciated, you 61 amazing motherfuckers. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I'm really surprised I was able to even sort of like just garner this audience in the first place. Like I said, like YouTube's not quite my jam, but I think it's a really cool opportunity. So I just think I really have to thank you guys just for even showing up, cause I'm like, dang, like I'm surprised people actually like care about what I have to say, and not that like I have the most like amazing opinions, but I like being able to share. So it's cool being able to find people that find value in that. Let's check out the space real quick again. I don't know if it's gonna be that interesting.
You should get Yassine or something on the show, because it seems like he's really involved.
David Schwartz or Arthur Brito.
Yeah, Yassine.
We're on our way.
It's scams. Before we go to the Everest, if we ever go there, Quincy did find its way back. Quincy, you missed actually Yassine. He was talking about the matter.
No.
Congratulations before you do anything.
Is that for Zach?
No, Quincy's up here. Don't you see Quincy's, Scams?
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sweet.
Do you own a lawn mowing business too?
No.
Scams, you're gonna have to do better than try to make fun of somebody who's a small business owner and an entrepreneur.
100%.
Family and making money. And I happen to love lawn care, so if you want to keep going after the lawns, I will.
No, I think it's a necessity. I just don't normally get my crypto advice from there.
I love lawns and I love earth and I love the blades of grass and I love cutting them different directions so I can have different strokes. So kudos to you, Zach, for providing for your family, and now.
I think it's an honorable way to make money. I just don't get my crypto advice from.
It has nothing to do with that. God damn it. Holy. So, Quincy, did you get any new news?
What do you mean?
We rely on you getting here information up.
It's funny that you say that, actually. I'm actually about to drop like a huge, like a nuke of news tomorrow with XDC. Like a coordinated effort type deal. Like.
So one of those posts, huh?
It is.
I mean,
who else is it coordinated with?
You might actually see.
Who else is paying?
You might just see anybody just sharing it, just because it's just good information that's going on in the space. Mostly just stuff about just milestones, different projects doing different things, and what it's been like over the past year and their growth. Talking about the different events we've had in the past year, as well as like a lot of things that sort of got glossed over. There's a lot of things that happen on chain, but unless it gets like this like super news amped up like hype moment, people don't typically like have this huge energy around it, even if it is like a big deal. So we're gonna be talking about a lot of these things, and we're gonna have a huge post, huge article. I'm gonna be doing a live stream about it, just talking about really just going into depth about all the different things that happened this past year.
I already got the team working on a thumbnail, Quincy. We'll be ready to hype it right after you, brother.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that, Quincy.
Quincy, did you stick to the engagement plan that you were vetting out in New York when we met up?
Yeah. Actually, right in Central Park, right in the horse-drawn carriage. She wanted the princess experience, so that's what I did.
Nicely done, bro.
We have Wolf up there with the nice Donald Trump PFP pixelated. GM.
Everest time.
Is
No,
the
Everest time.
NFT bull run back on now that Trump's doing another NFT drop?
Well, that's a good
The
question.
Ethereum NFTs, I think.
Well, we talk NFTs in general scams here.
That's an XRP NFT is rocking there, guys.
Yeah, it's a Donies. The Donies.
I got robbed of a tree face today. I'm very upset.
You got robbed? What? Oh crap! I got kicked out. No.
That's what I'm gonna say.
That's the rough market. That's the rough market.
Sketchy business.
It wasn't me, Mr. Wright.
No, that's unacceptable.
You gotta floor all your other NFTs.
Yeah, I might have to manipulate the price.
I see a question here. This looks like a good one. Can you speak to jobs and opportunities with expansion and adoption? Or, crap, there's a little thing on the side. I can't see the last little bit. Yeah, so one thing that's actually really interesting. I saw this in cloud, and I see this in blockchain. So when I was a young little dev, as I still am a young little dev, but when I was new, getting my first job or whatever, there's like this notion, or at least when I was getting into cloud, there was like this jump in demand for talent for cloud developers. Now, the reason for that was because Amazon, Google, Microsoft, they were all putting out these programs to allow people to be like competent in cloud. But what that did was it set a foundation for people to be able to go into these cloud services and build like really effective products. And with that, created a whole workforce of new developers that are able to use these new, like I said, these new technological products and use them well, right? Because you don't necessarily need to like go through like their little education program, whatever, to understand it. But going through it gives you a base level of understanding that helps you get hired. So at the time, I was going, oh my God, like, it was like, I don't know, 2017 at the time. I was like, dang, man, if I got into cloud, like in high school, holy cow, like I would have been in so early. How much money I could have been making, holy cow. Now it's sort of like that with crypto, but there's sort of a weird conundrum. So a lot of people are sort of jumping to solutions, and as they do so, they start realizing that they can't find the talent to create the solutions. Now, you might find developers that have their own ideas and try to build their own proprietary software, but it's really hard to find businesses to move over into blockchain because it's hard to find the talent to be able to build these tools, just like it was for cloud. If you wanted someone to build something in AWS, for a while it was hard to find someone who knew AWS well enough. And actually, most institutional developers weren't even focusing on that. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the big companies were sort of migrating over to the cloud, especially over time. But at first, you would see startups take on cloud, primarily because it was a lot cheaper, a lot easier. They could do a lot more for a lot less. So you would actually see startups adopt this technology significantly faster than the bigger companies could, primarily because startups had new processes that they needed to validate or justify, while institutions had old processes that continuously generated revenue. So why would they change them? So you would first see a lot of these startups come into play, and these startups actually almost curate the entire first class of developers, because where else are you going to work to get blockchain development experience? Like, it's hard to find projects that are hiring. It's hard to find talent that's whatever. So you find new startups, and usually startups are founded by devs or product managers or people that are already sort of tangential to the space, so they have a relatively good understanding of what can be done with it. So I think what's going to happen is, and when we say we're early, this is a real telltale sign that we're early. You should just ask yourself, how hard is it to find a dev? If it's hard, we're early. If it's saturated, we're not. Like that's a perfect example is web dev. There was a time back in the 90s where learning HTML, CSS would have gotten you a 6-figure job. Now, like, it won't, just knowing that won't get you a job at all. It's so saturated. Like, every third developer is a web dev, right? So you're not early to web development. You know, it's saturated. But when you start looking at other, and I think another example of this could be machine learning and ROS, robotic programming. A lot of these fields are becoming a lot more. A lot of these fields are becoming a lot more known, a lot more talked about, but they're not saturated yet. And they don't even need to be saturated with products yet. They just don't have enough devs to be able to build enough of the products to saturate the market. And like I said, that's the real early element. A good example could be, I like to sort of equate blockchain adoption to when smartphones first became a thing. Because when we started looking at smartphones, there was a huge argument over what phone would be the smartphone. Now that we're in the future, who gives a crap about smartphones? It's about the apps, right? So I think it's sort of the same thing here when it comes to different blockchain, different crypto networks. It's not so much about the network. It's oh my god, I'm almost about to lose my train of thought. But oh my god, sorry about that. I almost like just blanked for a second. But yeah, it's that. Sorry, one thing that sort of like completely like is new to me, not even new to me, it's probably a little bit, it's not normalized yet, although I've been on the internet for a little bit. Sometimes when I just get like so into something, I hate this. I get into like a tangent and I almost forget. I'm like, crap, I was in the middle of explaining something really well and I got too into this tangent. And when you're talking like with your friends or whatever, it's whatever, but I'm like, oh crap, I'm in front of a bunch of people right now. Don't get lost in the tangent. Fuck. And so, yeah, sometimes I gotta keep myself on track a little bit. What is this? Oh, I appreciate that. Young fella, a lot of us regard you as the GOAT in the space, including T's crypto spot. Would love to see a collab. I would love to collab with T too. I really appreciate like a lot of the positivity too. Honestly, what is T doing? I could probably get him on right now. Like, this is part of the reason why I did this. I could do this right now. I talk to people all the time. If I wanted to hit up T, I could. Let me just see what he's doing. Like, yeah, I'm literally hitting up T right now. I'm gonna drop him in my Discord and we're just gonna hang out. Like, literally, like, why the hell not? Let me snag this. All right, I just hit up T. Hopefully he'll get back to me. He had a space, literally right before I started streaming. He had a space, and I was gonna hop on it, but when I went back to it, it was gone. So, and it looks like that XRP space is also gone. So, oh, that stinks. Give me one moment, sorry. Yeah, so I just hit up T. Oh, please get back to me. It'd be cool to have him up. Actually, I could probably try to get a few people up right now. I just... Yeah, literally, yeah, let me see if I can find somebody to come on. I think it'd be cool. Anywho, we will see what's up. Anywho, yeah, so just in general, I want to be able to get more people on the channel. I want to be able to talk with more people. I want to be able to share the experience. Like, I think I get to sort of live like one of these like super cool like experiences where mostly just because I get to see so much, and like it's not like out, it's online. So it's just, I don't know, I think I originally was gonna do this as like a vlog because I was traveling for a bit, but then I realized I'm like, oh, I talk to people every day, but I don't go anywhere every day. So I might do like more live streams like out, like I did at Consensus. But just in general, I think I might focus on the live stream just to be able to capture just a bit of the atmosphere. I hit up T, I hit up the startup, and I hit up another startup, but they're involved with a few other startups, just to be able to just get some experience up here. They're all cool. They all do cool stuff, and some of them work on XDC, some of them work on XRP. Like, it's all cool. But yeah, just sharing that experience is like one of my main like goals, really. My second main goal is to see this nice empty place right here. This is where I would place my YouTube play button if I had one. Yeah, I wish I could get one of those. That'd be so cool. I feel like it'd just be like a cool little YouTube trophy or whatever. But at the same time too, like I want to be able to sort of like grow my presence, grow my channel, be able to sort of like expand my reach on the internet. But yeah, it'd be super cool to also be able to sort of like actually be like a cool like a YouTuber or whatever, you know. That'd be fun. God dang it, nobody is freaking available right now. It is just hilarious. It's so funny. People go, Quincy, are you available? Quincy, are you available? And most of the time I'm not, or like I'm sort of in between things. But then when I'm like wide open, I'm like, yo, come on stream. What are you doing? What's up? It's just crickets. Like, and then watch, like the second I end the stream, everyone's gonna be like, yo, let's go. And I'll be like, nah, I just ended it. Like, but yeah, the big thing is sharing experiences. So I hope to, and like I said, like these live streams are going to be the next day's video. So don't ever feel like pressure or FOMO or anything to like, oh my God, there's a stream. The video is gonna come. The most interesting parts are gonna be in the video, just like clipped or whatever. And yeah, I just want to be able to get more of those experiences. Hopefully too, I want to invite people over. I hung out with the T3 Academy team and Jeremy, with the Coach JV guys. It was super cool. I went to dinner, went to lunch with them. They told me about their app. They're like a bunch of D&D guys, so they play like these board games and stuff. They want to build an app that's sort of like it. It was cool. I'm like, y'all just want to build an app. Totally chill. It'd be so chill to be able to sort of share that too. Like, yo, look, these guys want to build an app. It's a game. It's like a nerdy game for like D&D. Isn't that sick? Yeah, I get it. It's like just some game, but at least it's not some like stupid like all the crap you see in crypto. It's nice just to get a refreshing like a simple little like card game, D&D style or whatever, or board or whatever. But yeah, it's just cool to see, you know. So I often ponder. I see a chat a post in here. I often ponder what is our financial system going to look like in 5 years? Is there going to be a reset? Will the dollar fall from grace, fall from the ashes? What will come after? Oh, dude, you want to know? This is a serious red pill, man. So we've actually gone off, not even the dollar or whatever, but what we have moved economic systems and called it the dollar multiple times. Like people like to reference the gold standard. That was exactly that. When we went from being on the gold standard to partially being on the gold standard to getting completely off the gold standard, each one of those is a completely different economic system, but we still reference it as the dollar. So that's exactly what's going to happen here. So if there's CBDCs or if there's a completely restructure in the financial system, the average person isn't going to know. Can the average person tell you the difference between the economic and financial system on the gold standard versus how the system is on a fiat standard? No, they just say it's the dollar, it's the financial system. Who fucking knows about this shit? But don't get me wrong, I'm sort of being a little facetious, but the biggest thing is a lot of the systems that we interact with are constantly changing, and we don't necessarily put all this importance on it, even if it is. Going off the gold standard basically completely set the stage for the economic conditions that we're in right now. So these things are important, but I think a lot of it turns into the main difference is almost semantics than it is like a tangible difference. And it's funny because there is a tangible difference. It's that we don't actively interact with it. Like I said, from now, I'm not old, so maybe I am like just super ignorant of this, but what would it be like for someone to explain their experience in an economy versus being on the gold system versus being on, now you can probably talk about like lending, that's a very simple example. Lending off the fiat standard is arbitrary, while lending off the gold standards is dependent on how quickly they can pay that gold back. And I only say that with like the interest rates or whatever, you know, like if you raise interest rates, like the means of being able to pay back debt becomes easier, and that's sort of arbitrary in itself. And that's completely different than the gold standard. You couldn't do that on a gold standard. Fundamentally different. So I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. If it's CBDCs, there are certain things that you can do with CBDCs or can't do with CBDCs that you can't or can do now. But it's not like we're going to be calling them something entirely different. We'll just be doing, it's the dollar, it's the financial system, it's whatever. Like, it's not like we made this huge, now don't get me wrong, people go, oh my god, they seized the gold, they did all of this, the gold standard, they're trying to be able to control the economy, Keynesian economics is bullshit, oh my god. Yeah, sure, you could say all of that as well, but the average person isn't going to have that much drastic of an experience being from the gold standard to partial gold standard to fiat standard to CBDC to crypto. The average experience for the average user is basically next to none, and I think that's essentially what's going to happen. No, I just see some funny chats. Anywho, I wonder if there's any cool spaces on. Oh, did anyone actually hit me back yet? Give me one sec. We might be able to make this interesting. Damn, nobody's home. Oh. God, motherfucking damn it. Alright, I normally wouldn't say something about this, and it's funny, because it's not funny. Here. It's, like, probably the most non-issue anyway, but I'm just gonna bitch about it, because this is just too far. Alright, you see this right here? You see this right here? Alright, so, there's an upgrade to Premium Plus button. Now, I shouldn't have this button, or maybe I should, because I'm one of these idiots, right? I'm one of these idiots who paid for this stupid badge. So now they're trying to offer me an extra premium button for whatever the fuck. And I'm like, but I already paid for your stupid badge. So now I'm literally about to just be like, fuck it. Get rid of this crap. Just because you offered another premium, like a premium on top of the premium when I just like, I thought I already paid for that. And it's like the most non-issue ever, who gives a crap. But like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, what? I thought I had that. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of this. I just don't even care anymore. And all of you guys are probably laughing at me going, oh, you're just an idiot. Like, you shouldn't have paid for it anyway, and I probably shouldn't have. But this right here is a perfect reminder why I definitely shouldn't have. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like the like, being able to edit and stuff like that, and being able to, like adjust posts and whatever. I'm just like, are they going to add a premium? Are they going to add, like, just layers upon layers of premium? Like, I mean, it's just a joke, but, like, it actually does kind of annoy me a little bit. Oh, appreciate it. Be careful, Quincy. Don't forget to take a breath. Love your excitement. Can you talk about what you're personally are working on XCC? Oh, good question. Good question. So I've got a few different little side hustles, side projects. And then primarily for XTC comes down to a few interesting things. So actually right now, I've done this a few times, but as of right now, I'm actually creating a bunch of tutorial videos for developers to be able to build on XTC. Me and a few of the other XTC guys are actually, so we're going to be breaking down a few different things to make it easy. We'll be breaking down a few things conceptually, and these are only supposed to be like 20-minute, 30-minute videos. But we're essentially breaking down a bunch of different concepts, a bunch of different implementations, and sort of going over how you would deploy and how you would build on XDC. Oh, look at that. I got a little hair sticking up. And that's like one of the biggest things I'm focusing on right now. And I've done a few videos like this. I'm doing one right now in Remix, but I did one with Hard Hat in terms of like deploying in that environment. And that's sort of like an interesting, cool thing. Another thing that's sort of just an ongoing thing. So I sort of end up being a bit of an ambassador for the network when engaging with other projects and other developers. So whenever I get a chance to meet with developers, like when I got a chance to go to Toronto or New York for the hackathons, Usually I get a chance to meet with a lot of devs, speak with them about their projects, explain aspects of the network, answer their questions. And then I get a chance to sort of like continue on helping them as they build on the network. This can range from helping them migrate smart contracts from another network onto XDC, helping them like debug or helping them go through some of the documentation if they had any issues. Honestly, just following along their project, because sometimes we'll integrate certain aspects of their project into different tools we use at XDC. And just sort of just keeping up with them. So, and it sounds like, oh yeah, keep it up. It's actually hilarious because they'll hit me up about a bazillion things. They'll go, oh my god, Quincy, like I'm stuck on this thing or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's go over this, whatever. Or they'll go, oh Quincy, I want to be able to implement these subnets in this way, and I want to be able to use potentially these smart contracts. What would be like the implication for me to do this way? And I'm like, okay, cool, let's do this. So I actually spend a good portion of my time not only just educating just regular people in general, but also just sort of giving developers a better understanding of the network that they're moving to, as well as like make content or whatever for the foundation. Now, one thing that I was doing for a bit, I was writing quite a bit of articles, and I still want to write more articles. The thing about the articles is I'll write a smart contract, right? And then I'll write an article about it showing how someone can use the smart contract in, some production environment or some application. Then I'll build another smart contract. And because I'm trying to build on these concepts, this one will be a little bit more complex. But what would happen is maybe it took me an hour, or maybe less than an hour for the first one, and let's say it take me an hour and a half for the next one, and then I add another complex one, and then another complex one, and then I add another complex one that interacts with another complex one, and then I got 3 that interact with each other, and then I've got like one that utilizes a library that potentially utilizes a third-party smart contract that potentially interacts with another smart contract I created, and every single time you go up another level of complexity, it just takes so long. So it would have taken me like a day or two for the first few contracts, then it maybe take a few days to a week, and then like to this point now, I'm basically building out an entire marketplace that lists assets onto the marketplace, as well as has a hot wallet API for users to be able to interact with crypto, to be able to interact with these tools without actually holding crypto, and I have to do all of this as well as write a piece of article about it. And it's like, god dang it, dude, it's taken like a month and a half to be able to get this thing to work, never mind write the article. So yeah, I'd like to write more articles, but as a lot of these tools become more complex, it just takes longer to build them. It's funny, it might just take me like an hour or two to write the article, but there's no point in writing an article for some code that doesn't really work very well. Or at the very least, some boilerplate code that doesn't necessarily do what I'm trying to have it do. It has to work well, or at the very least, it has to work well as a template. Because I have a few templates on there that you can modify in any way you want, and there's nothing really special about them other than them being a template. But they have to do what they're like doing. And I only say this because like I could sort of create a simpler version of the contract, but then it doesn't articulate the power of smart contracts. So me making it simpler doesn't articulate the idea that I'm trying to pose. So actually, someone just asked, how hard is it to migrate projects from Ethereum to XDC? It's not hard at all. Usually the thing that's the most difficult is if you had, actually most of this is quelled now. So with XDC, there were a few things that were unique to XDC that weren't particularly on Ethereum. One was the XDC prefix, but now it takes both XDC and OX prefixes. But a few other things were, because XDC is a fork of Ethereum, there were some very small, there were some mods that potentially poses issues if you're not necessarily aware of them. So it's usually relatively easy unless you come across one of these really weird exceptions. The prefix is one of them. So like, let's say you use an RPC. That's not one of the new RPCs. So you might not be able to use a 0x prefix, and you may be confused about that. And there's a few little like knick-knack things like that. But usually people will come to us directly, and usually they're a pretty quick fix. It's usually just there is some sort of like really esoteric implementation that they just weren't aware of because of the fork. So, but yeah, most of the time it's like take the same contract, deploy it right over. It's usually nothing. How hard would it be? Oh. Are you seeing much of an update in devs who are migrating to XDC? The more being built on XDC, the better. Yeah. So, actually, can you guys hear me all right? When it comes to XDCs coming or developers coming to XDC, so there's 2 types of developers that come to XEC. There are already established crypto developers that want more performant crypto networks, and usually they come from Ethereum, like go figure, right? And they want to be able to take their same projects and allow them to operate in a more high performance environment. And usually we end up sort of competing with Avalanche, Polygon, a lot of the other popular EVM chains in terms of who goes where. And then the second element is developers that are new to blockchain. And we get a whole host of different devs. So mostly developers that are in blockchain are primarily like smart contract devs. But developers that aren't from blockchain, we'll get web devs, iOS devs, Android devs, cloud devs, like machine learning people. And they're just trying to find like sort of a way to sort of integrate, their level of competency into these technologies. And that actually is a bit easier because what you're really able to do is just sort of articulate how they can implement their solution, and then they just sort of just go with it. With the crypto space, there's a lot of tribalism, and a lot of people are not even really bought into the tech. So I noticed this with devs, and I'm actually kind of glad I didn't get into crypto earlier, because I think I would have screwed myself. And the reason I say this is, so a lot of devs, they'll get sort of involved and invested into a project based off their usage of those tools. So for instance, like I like to use Docker versus Kubernetes for containerization, right? I'm very comfortable with Docker, super, super comfortable. And there are other tools I could use like EKS or Kubernetes or whatever, but there's a slight hesitancy because I know what I know, and being able to move that just means I have to go through a little bit of friction to do that. Crypto is like that as well, but it's worse because people have a financial buy into it too. So not only are you bought into the technology because you use the technology, but you've also hold a good portion of your savings value, whatever, in this, and you've made money off of it as well. So it's really hard to tell someone who's not only invested in the technology itself, but their finances are also invested, and they've been able to see growth in terms of that finance. There's almost this notion of why would I leave? And everybody does that. I do that too. Everybody does that. Why would I leave? And you sort of have to be a little bit you sort of have to be aware of that, because it's easy to say that, but there are reasons why you would. And it's not because, everything's bad. No, there's just different activities on different networks. So you want to be able to maximize the utility of your apps by being able to factor those apps in those environments with that activity. That's why you would essentially choose a different network, or choose whatever network. But because everyone's so bought in, it's like I said, if I got into Ethereum in 2016, 2017, and I was developing like I was now, there's no way you'd get me out of Ethereum. And it's not because Ethereum sucks. Oh, no, it's just because I would have made so much money in Ethereum. I'm so used to the Ethereum tech stack. Everything I do is in Ethereum. Everything they say is something that I believe. So I'm like, anything that there's a problem will be corrected into the future because we're the biggest ones. Whatever. Everybody does this in any capacity, whatever it is. It's this buy-in. It's not even just the buy-in to the finances or the buy-in to the tech. It's the buy-in to this idea, and it sort of encompasses all of them. And it's really, really hard to get people out of that. But it is really easy to get people that aren't into crypto into any crypto ever. I could probably get a regular person into Dogecoin if I wanted to, but I wouldn't pitch it to them as Dogecoin. I'd pitch it to them as, look, technically Dogecoin is no different than Bitcoin. You can use Bitcoin for cross-border remittance in terms of being able to move value without essentially going through these third parties that people typically use it for. Now you can use Dogecoin because instead of using Bitcoin, it's actually cheaper. Boom. And a regular dev that just wanted to move value, don't get me wrong, the fact that it's named Dogecoin is probably gonna red flags or whatever. But if it was just if it just does the thing, does the service, whatever it is, a lot of developers are pretty indifferent. Or at the very least, their preference comes to how that thing works as opposed to their buy-in to that. And actually, it's funny, too, because there are a lot of developers that are, bought into certain technologies that, will admit it's, trash. It's funny. I do this with, Xcode. I hate Xcode, but you need Xcode. You don't really need it, but you primarily need Xcode to build iOS apps. And I'll say Xcode's trash every day, every day of the week. Xcode sucks. iOS fucking app development sucks ass. And then I'll literally hop on my computer and fucking pull up Xcode. Because what else am I going to do? Don't get me wrong, there are other tools I could use, but it's still a bit easier, sure, but it's broken in some regards. And that's sort of how I feel with some of these cryptos, where you could move to any of these other technologies, but like I said, you're bought into this idea. So you have to get people out of the idea to get them out of the technology, or at least open enough to be able to explore new ones. Oh my god, people ask me about this so freaking much. Oh my god, Quincy, you're a trading bot. Oh my god. You want to know what the biggest freaking thing about that is? I built a trading bot. I built 2 trading bots and never, like, ever traded. It was only, like, simulation accounts. I'm a huge pussy when it comes to trading. Fuck that shit. Like, if I just wanted to gamble, I'll just go to freaking Vegas or whatever, right? Nah, I'm just kidding. But, no, seriously, I get too freaking angsty about, like, trading too much. So I usually when it came to the bots, actually, at the time, it was mostly because I was sort of in between whether I wanted to get into traditional finance and get into, like, analysis, get into, like, you know, quant development, get into all these different elements of, like, finance and like the cross between finance and development, or did I want to get into startups? And at the time I was thinking, and it's funny too because I originally wrote the bot to run on XRP directly, and it was just meant to be, XRP has insane, like, spreads, like 3 to 5% spreads on certain assets, insane. So the whole premise was being able to take advantage of these insanely wide spreads by being able to make these, like, so if the spread's 5%, then you would make these trades that are like 1-2% apart. And when people make these trades, like, you have to move through to get to these prices. So it was very easy to take advantage of these spreads. And that was the whole premise, really. Another strategy I had, like I said, I literally ran these in simulated environments, mostly because, so you would have the trading bot, and then you would have this, what did I call it? I had a specific name for it, but it's essentially, it's basically a specific function that checks how correct the bot is. So let's say the bot makes a guess, and then it checks it with what it actually got, and then it'll give it a percentage of how often it's right. And I would never actually use the bots until they got over 51%, which they never did. So Quincy, how do you feel about PLI plugin? I think plugin's cool. Plugin actually, you know, minus them as an oracle, they're actually doing quite a bit in order to be able to bring people onto blockchain technologies. They actually have a series of different, I don't know if I can call them education programs or camps, but they have different programs with a bunch of different universities all around the world. I think one's in India, one's in Madrid, one's in South Africa, and one's somewhere else. But they're actively working with a lot of different organizations to bring new developers on chain. Now, obviously, they want to be able to bring developers on chain to use their technology and their oracles, but just the fact that they're actively trying to get more people to build on chain is cool. Actually, how many people do I have in this stream so far? Oh, cool. We got 60. That's awesome. Appreciate it. Anywho, actually, hold up. Let me see if there's any. This is something I'm trying to be, like, constantly aware of, because Twitter Spaces are actually super cool, presuming you don't get a bunch of, like, trolls or a bunch of, like, ideologically driven people that don't actually care about conversations. But at the same time, too, if you do find people like that, it does make really good content. It's part of the reason why, actually, before I started doing these streams, I started making videos on Twitter, because I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to get really cool engagement, but, you know, if I get the, you know, a troll or whatever, it'd be really cool to catch that well. So there's that as well. Actually, does anyone have any interesting questions? Because nobody hit me back. My goodness, like literally, I hit up 2 different startups I knew. And I'm like, yo, y'all should just hop on here and let's just start chatting. And they're like, yeah, I'm not available right now. I'm like, bro, you were available? Yeah, what? Like, the past week, you guys were so available. And now I'm like, yo, what's up? It's like, oh, I'm not home now. Are you bullish on XDC? Look, as long as I'm still utilizing any of these technologies, that's a bullish sign for you. Because the way I see it is, if it wasn't worth using, I just wouldn't use it. Now, that's not to say every technology I don't use, it's not worth using. But what I am saying, that if I'm going to actively make a choice to prioritize different technologies, then you can almost take that as a sign of I believe that these technologies have some longevity to them, because that would be silly for me to invest my time, effort, and energy to be able to build tools on technology that won't be utilized. Oh, we got a little troll in the comments. Look at him. Look at Noel Wash. Oh my goodness, this is cute. Everybody tell the troll to have a good day. Anywho. Anywho. There's nothing new on the spaces. Actually, how long have I been streaming so far? Oh wow, it's been almost 2 hours. Sweet, cool. Let's see. Do I have any other new? Because I don't want to just have the stream just for having the stream, but I do like talking about different things. So someone made a note. I'm not even sure what this is referring to, but Quincy, how important is the fact that worldwide leader USA holds most XDC nodes, 170? I don't know who worldwide leader is, and if you believe that they're holding that many nodes, send me a link. I know there was a criticism that I think BitTrue held like 20 nodes or something. But there are incentives on chain that allows node operators to vote to kick other nodes off if they believe they're acting maliciously. So if the node operators wanted to vote off X amount of nodes for whatever it is, they could come together to try to do that. I don't think 170 is owned by anybody, but I know the reason I know the BitTrue one is I know they're like the biggest criticism, and they only hold like maybe 20 nodes, maybe. But that's not a uniquely XDC thing. Like every single exchange that holds nodes for any crypto holds a shit ton of nodes. Ethereum gets this. Any proof of stake gets this. This actually go to a whole new topic really. So any sort of proof of stake network gets this criticism, and then the proof of work networks get the criticism that certain aspects of the nodes become centralized based off the hash rate, and only certain people can participate based off of how big of the ASICs that they have. So when it comes to proof of work, if you don't have a big enough machine, you essentially see this element of centralization towards people that have big enough machines to compete, where proof of stake just comes down to how many people can stake up and put up as many nodes. This is not a new thing. Every network has this, except XRP and XLM, because they don't have those incentives. But then it just doesn't come down to, are these incentives good or bad? It comes down to what would essentially make a very well-rounded incentive to where you don't necessarily have these I don't want to call them issues. Like there's sort of like these pockets where you can have an issue. One thing I thought about doing, although I don't like React content and I don't like derivative content, I thought about not quite reacting, but trying to find really engaging videos surrounding blockchain, and then sort of like picking apart them a little bit. Like one thing I sort of wanted to go into was not just the FTX, FTT sort of thing, but sort of go into what type of climate allows for this to be the case. It's very easy to point the finger at Sam Bankman and go, you fraud, but it's not as easy to point the finger at everybody that basically let him get away with it. There's almost this environment of it's almost like delusional euphoria where everyone's just so excited that we just completely overlooked like red signs or whatever, red flags. And I think that happens a lot, and it sucks because like I said, it's easy after the fact to go, oh, how dare they? But it's not easy while you're in it to point out that there's a lot of irrational hype that drives a lot of this, whether it's fraud, whether it's scams, whether it's just people just over exaggerating whatever the thing is. I think part of the reason why they get away with it is because we don't facilitate the level of criticism that would make them hesitant to do that. So, oh, appreciate it. Love your new space. Awesome. Yeah, I try to make these things interesting, try to make them cool. And I got this new little area, so I thought it'd be really fun to sort of just come in here and just chat a bit. Let's chill with your bro Quincy, I still don't see. I don't think you understand how hurt I am right now. Like, everyone and their mother has been going, Quincy, oh my God, like, let's chat, whatever. And I felt bad because I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, I'm kind of in the middle of something. But then the second, I'm like, yo, I'm wide open. Doors wide open. Nothing. Like, and then watch. I already know this. This happens every time. The second I stop, everyone's going to go, okay, cool, let me hop on. let's see. One thing, I had a few different notes. I sort of had a rant that was gonna go on basically a bunch of things that I find very wrong with the space and I find almost detrimental to the future of crypto, but I might save that for another stream because it's a rant. It is a rant. And most of it is cultural. It has nothing to do with the tech. It has everything to do with how we perceive different things. And then people, it's sort of like going to what I said about the fraudsters. If we are able to perceive things as valuable while simultaneously not criticizing what makes them valuable, then people will just sell you shit all day, every day. And then you can't complain that you get shit all day. Yeah, I might save that for another stream. It's a good one, and it's just a rant, just basically saying that, like there's just, you can't, if you want to see real growth, like you have to be critical. Like you can't have this notion of crypto's the future, but you can't explain what that future is, and don't get me wrong, there are different ways you can go about trying to explain that future, and there are very sophisticated ways that you can even go into what that may look like, but I don't think anybody's doing that really, at all. And it doesn't mean that you have to be some like high level PhD fucking economist to be able to have a say in these things, but being able to approach it from a standpoint of understanding rather than the standpoint of excitement, I think would be a lot better for the space. No wash blockchain to fix this guy's hairline. Appreciate it, bro. You may be going, what? Well, I like the engagement, so. Oh, I really wish I could have got somebody on Discord. I might just do that tomorrow. I might schedule these out. I might schedule them out because that could be cool. I know I'd like to talk to Jake Claver on here, talk to Edward, DGG guys, even the Expector guys. That could be super cool. Let's see, who else? I know some people just in general, just talking about like just startups in general. Actually, it's not quite crypto related, but I know some people that are sort of like crypto tangential. They're in the crypto, but their projects aren't, and it's just cool seeing how startups work. And it's actually the way I see it is I love meeting cool people with new projects because sometimes I see it and I'm like, whoa, I can kind of see like where you're going with this. And part of me is like, dang, like is the next time I'm going to see you on the news? Because like, holy cow, that would be sick. Like, so yeah, it's an experience that I want to share. So. What's up, Jason? Much love, bro. Appreciated. Oh my goodness. Now I feel bad because I feel like the stream's kind of boring, but I feel like I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to do more of these, so like even if the stream's kind of boring and it cuts off, the idea of it is I want to do multiple a week, not quite every day. That's kind of exhausting. But if I can do like 2 or 3 a week and then drop a few videos from those streams throughout the week, as well as being able to share my experiences, I think it'd be cool. And then ideally just do it when I right about to go into an environment where I feel like it'd be really cool to share. I just want to, put on the stream real quick and then go. Whether that's Twitter, whether that's Discord, whether that I'm going out or something, that's really what I'm focused on. Let's see. One thing that, okay, this is actually it's a little funny, but it's not, it's ironic. There we go. So, when I first started, like, not streaming, but like making videos on YouTube, I was like, oh, like, when I'm on a space, like maybe I could find something interesting on, or not YouTube, on Twitter. And, maybe, that could be part of the content. The day I decided to do that was literally October 7th, and all of Twitter was just full of, like, Israeli war stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, I need to just leave I don't want my channel banned. Gone. Nope. I'm out of here. Like, it was kind of funny where I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to find something on Twitter as like some, background image or something entertaining. And yeah, it was the worst day to start that. So will government make laws to confiscate XRP and XDC? So one thing that you've sort of need to take into consideration, due to how these networks operate, you can't necessarily confiscate XRP or XDC or any of these assets. Now, when people ask this, what they're referring to is back when they confiscated gold, but they didn't confiscate gold. Like when you say it, it almost sounds like people, had guns showing up to their house, like, give me your gold. No, there was just a policy that sort of guilt tripped everyone into saying, oh, you better turn in your gold. It was literally that. There was really no element of enforcement or anything like that. It was just saying, oh, you better do this, just for them to like price set gold after or whatever. So that's usually what that's referencing to. And that's only referenced to that because we were on the gold standard. So there was this notion that there's always a buyer for gold. So like, that's part of the reason why they did that as well. Because, if you're going to sell it, there's always a buyer. And if the government's the buyer, then, it's not a confiscation. It's just a liquidation, if you want to put it that way. And it is liquidation. If you just decided not to sell your crypto or sell your gold, then no one would have done anything. There would have been no consequences. So, yeah, and that's just in reference to the gold. When it comes to these networks, you tangibly can't do anything in regards to confiscating, but then you also have to ask yourself, why would they confiscate it? I guess if you can come up with a good answer for why they would confiscate it, maybe you can entertain the answer of them confiscating it. But like I said, from a technical standpoint, that's not necessarily the case, and that's not necessarily possible. Oh my goodness. Talk about how you see mainstream adoption in Quincy terms. So mainstream adoption is mostly just businesses utilizing these technologies to build products and services for their users. You're not actually going to be looking at these technologies from the lens of crypto or blockchain, sort of in the same way that you don't look at the apps that you use in the lens of an Oracle database, a SQL database, a NoSQL database, or whatever the fuck. You don't look at these technologies that way. You just use the service. So it's the exact same thing when it comes to blockchain technology. It's that people utilizing these networks to facilitate services primarily that are more efficient and typically cheaper to host. And then their users can interact with their actual app, their actual company, to be able to have access to those services. Really appreciated Cloud Watcher, real insight from a real dev in the space, priceless, and a lot of y'all don't appreciate it. I appreciate you, man. Oh, someone said there was actually jail time if they caught you with gold. I've heard that there was no real way to be able to enforce that. So maybe it's just one of those things where it's like, look, if you got caught, you were just one of those suckers that got caught. Most people didn't get caught. But yeah, that's my understanding. So to be honest, I might end the stream in probably 10-20 minutes. 2 hours is a good length for a stream. But yeah, I plan on doing this tomorrow. I plan on, like I said, a couple times a week. Whenever I really feel like something's like about to happen, I want to be able to catch it. Like I said, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's whatever. Like, I think it's cool. And yeah, they got finessed into giving up their gold because they thought the reserve was 1-to-1. There you go. Yeah, they got finessed. No, that's funny. But yeah, no. If there's any more questions for anybody, like, this is sort of like the Q&A period. I'm probably not gonna hop on the Twitter. In some of these other spaces, and that's the thing, not spaces, but like these streams, I do want the stream to go a bit longer. So once I get this set up, probably be hopping on Xbox, probably just chilling around. It could just be sort of like background, like sort of just like background entertainment, but at the same time, I do interact with a lot of people where I'm like, oh yeah, let's hop on a game, and I do want to be able to do that as well. So I think that could be really cool, and I want to have a more casual environment. I think I see so many people who are serious in crypto but not serious. So they're serious to where they want to make money, but they're not serious to like actually like really build anything. So there's this enthusiasm of getting rich without the actual like tangibles of like what's the thing that's gonna make you rich. So, and I like seeing people that build a lot of tangibles and be able to interact with them. And yeah, a lot of them game. So. Really appreciate a good stream, bro. Knowledge is just as important as so-called gems. Honestly, this is something that I live by a little bit. But one thing, if you find yourself stuck, if you find yourself grinding your gears and you're trying so hard for something, I almost live my life by this to a T. One thing that you need to remember is, if you were to know everything, you wouldn't have trouble doing anything. So the majority of the problems that you have comes from a lack of knowledge or comes from ignorance as opposed to a lack of effort. So there's almost an element of, if you can maximize your knowledge base and minimize your ignorance, then you can cut down on the amount of effort you put into stuff, not because you're not putting effort, but because you're being more efficient with being able to allocate those resources. I only say this, I'm a lazy motherfucker, right? So I only say this because every single time I'm coding, I always think this. I'm like, look, if I just knew what was wrong, I wouldn't be sitting here feeling stuck. I wouldn't be sitting here for like an hour going, what the hell? I wouldn't be sitting here going, oh my God. It'd just be, there it is. So, and that's just like sort of a me thing. Same thing with like, taking a test or something. If you just knew all the answers, you probably wouldn't need to study, would you? So being able to find the way to be able to gain the knowledge is what you want to focus on, like from an abstract, rather than just putting more raw energy into something. It's good to put as much energy as you can into something, but you want to get the most out of it too. So you need to have an understanding of the thing to be able to do that. Someone asked, did I miss the unleashing of the XCC drum bops? No, Oppenheimer releases tomorrow, so no, the news around XCC is gonna be tomorrow. I'll be talking about it. We'll be streaming. Just hop on tomorrow. It'll be cool. Yeah, so that'll be tomorrow. And you'll see a lot of stuff about it on social media. XCC will be tweeting it up. A bunch of people online will be tweeting it up. But I'll come on here too. I'll even screen share and share a lot of this stuff as well. There's an article. There are a few. I don't know what to call them because they're like a GIF, but it's like a GIF of like information being played. So it's like a bunch of notifying you on what's new or whatever. I can go over a lot of that and be able to break down a lot of that as well. Is XDC my baby? No, XDC is not my baby. I guess you could say XDC is like my... I feel like I'm roommates with XDC in a weird way, actually. Because with my brand and with how XDC is, I'm very like closely attached with XDC. And as people learn more about XDC, people learn more about me. So I feel like I'm like roommates with like XDC in a sense. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it next few minutes. Any questions? I'm gonna let the questions roll for the next 5 minutes or so. And it's funny too, I'm actually adding more to these streams. So I want to be able to add some music to the streams as well. So as the streams are coming, I'm gonna add some music. I have a few different these different scenes that like flip back and forth. I have a game scene here that's gonna be for like Xbox, whatever, and I'm gonna try to, because I want to be more social. So as much as I like talking in the space like this, I want to be able to interact with people that aren't in crypto and very much casually talk about what things can be done. We don't have to be talking about NFTs. We don't have to be talking about prices. We don't have to be talking about market cap or green candles or any of that, dude. Like, it could be something as simple as, hey, did you know that you could build an app this way and it'd be cheaper and more effective than that? And the benefit of that is it's easier for you to run, and you might actually be able to make more money for the exact same amount of business you may have, solely by being able to run it in this way. Or you may be able to interact with these third-party services better than you may traditionally be. Or you may be able to provide a service that third parties can tap into. So that's usually the way I like to approach things. And it's hilarious. When I talk to somebody that knows nothing about crypto, they're the easiest people to talk to. I can tell them anything, and they'll have a really good understanding of what I'm saying. Not because they have a good understanding, but because they're not confused with this notion or idea of how things should be, as opposed to just, oh yeah, you can do X, Y, and Z, or you can do A, B, C, or you can do this and this. I say the same thing with like cloud or whatever, any other technologies, but when I interact with people in crypto, I almost have to like deconstruct an idea they already have just to reconstruct how I would interact with that idea, but just a little bit more high resolution. So when you say, oh, can you have an NFT for this? I'm like, Sure, but the NFT is a representation of, let's say, an asset, and that asset can be automated in a smart contract, and that smart contract can have all the compliance rules for that automation, and now that NFT is essentially an asset with automated compliance integration, right? That's the type of thing I want to talk about, not, oh, what could be an NFT, right? And it's like, cool, but we can go a lot deeper than that. It's not a stupid question, bro. Yeah, I'm a dev for the XDC Foundation. Just like there's the Ethereum Foundation, a nonprofit organization that supports Ethereum, there's a nonprofit organization that supports the XDC network, and supports sort of like the stewards on the network. So our main goal is to allow people to migrate and utilize the XDC technology as seamlessly as possible, while simultaneously educating on how they can do that. Everyone's asking about this pillow. This is an honestly, maybe I might do a giveaway with this pillow. I only say that because when I go to more events, I would probably get a chance to get more of these. But like, I only get these at events. Like, so this cup, we give these cups out at events. Like, I don't know where you get this cup. This pillow was just like at like a cabana at an event. These stickers, actually, I'm pretty sure I ordered these stickers privately. But yeah, there's like no like real good. I mean, you could probably find some like general XDC stuff on Amazon or something. But like I might just do like a giveaway or something, just because like I get so many questions, whether it's t-shirts, whether it's the pillow, whether it's the cup or the stickers, every single time, and they're always from some niche place. Like I never just went, oh, just go here and get them. Except the stickers were like, I literally went to like some sticker store, dropped a picture of the XDC icon and printed the sticker. So that was like the simplest way to do that. But yeah, all the and I know you can probably technically order some XDC stuff. I got my XDC hoodie from Amazon, but yeah, a lot of the stuff that people ask about are just sort of like random things that I pick up as I go out. All right, looks like we're gonna close it here. This is definitely a lame ending, so I'm gonna have better endings next time. One thing I'm gonna try to do is, I'm not very much a motivational person or anything, but I feel really good because I feel empowered enough to be able to go out and try new things and act on those things. And I actually get a lot of good feedback from you guys. So I want to be able to share that I feel like I can go out and try new things, and you guys should also feel that as well. So people were asking earlier, like, oh, like, how do I get into junior development, or how do I do this or that? And actually, this is kind of a good way to put it. The number one thing that you need to do is just start. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people say, what do I do with development? What do I do for development? I can't tell you what type of development you like, what type of technologies you're going to use, why you would use them, and what capacity to use them. I can't tell you why you would want to get involved in certain whatever, but being able to start and being genuinely interested is fundamentally the best thing you could do for anything. Because from that standpoint, you're going to go find the tools you need to complete your task, regardless of what I say or regardless of what anybody else says. And in that context, even if you come across roadblocks or you come across people with bad advice or you come across people with good advice, you're always seeking a solution. So I think that's the biggest thing, that like when people are sort of like stuck in this, what do I do? Just start something. The thing you start may not even be the thing that you finish, but it may be the thing that made you realize what you should be doing. So that's just how I feel, at least. So take that with what you will. But yeah, I definitely want to talk more in these spaces. Definitely want to live stream, want to chat more. Want to actually have people on if I can. Don't get me wrong. I didn't tell anybody, so I made a post earlier, but I'm gonna be a lot more vocal about it to have people come in and talk about their experiences as well. Plus, I like the camaraderie that I have with people, and we build like really good rapport when I'm able to just chat about the things that we find interesting. So, yeah, I hope we have more of that. Oh, thank you. What are you most excited about personally as far as development on the XDC network? XDC 2.0 and subnets. So subnets is primarily, this might be the last thing I focus on. Subnets is primarily being able to orchestrate a private blockchain environment, so you can allow for applications to run in an environment where their data can be private, so their data can be secure. Or you want to be able to utilize the same technologies that you use for your public applications, and you don't want to necessarily move to a completely separate technology stack to be able to manage private applications. These applications may not be so focused on like PII data or personal data or whatever, or KYC, but there may be an element where you want to be able to run these services internally, and you want to be able to utilize smart contracts and stuff to do that. And then 2.0, we just get better performance on the network, a little bit better security, and a collection of tools that allow you to integrate subnets to the mainnet. And the reason that's cool is the subnet actually has a method where it publishes the hash of the header to the mainnet, and it essentially has like this double hashing. So it has a block hash for every single block on the private chain, but then it also has a hash for every block's header on the main chain. And basically the notion is you would have to crack both of the chains in order to be able to compromise the network. So it's a cool little security feature. The real cool stuff is really all the tools that allow you to interact with both mainnet and subnet. And most of that is like developer focused, but it's really cool because it allows you to build a whole host of new applications in a way that you wouldn't have been able to before. Appreciate it, Davey. Thank you, brother. With the rocket, moon, and alien. That is funny. That is really fun. That is the funniest comment, hands down. Just the rocket, moon, alien thing. But anywho, yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. Sorry for the really lame ending. Hopefully on my next stream or next few streams, I want to have a title card and an ending card, so it's not as like abrupt coming in and out. And hopefully some music. I want to add that as well. And hopefully some guests too, because I think you guys enjoy having me up here speak, but sometimes I feel a little dry and I'm like, and I don't want to bore you guys, like, or even worse, like sort of just sit here sort of like, so what do I do now? Like, maybe you're not bored, but like me being bored is entertaining. But I plan on doing a lot more with the streams. They're a lot easier on me. I love talking about the things I talk about, and I like just being able to share it with you guys. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm looking